أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So inshallah we will continue from the 13th flash, which was about seeking refuge with God from Satan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So we are reading from the 13th flash. This is from the book Flashes. Last week, and there are going to be 13 indications, 13 different topics that we will cover. Last week, we discussed the question, the evil ones or the Satans do not have any, they do not create anything, they just suggest. Yet Quran is repetitively suggesting us, even commanding us to seek refuge in Creator from Satan. Such a thing that is so incapable, how come it's being so influential in a sense? This was the topic that we discussed last time. Inshallah, today we will start from the second indication. And who wants to read for us? Okay, so we have a surprise voice here.
Second indication. Question. The creation of devils who are pure evil, and they're harassing the people of belief, and many people not believing and going to hell because of them, appears to be terrible and ugly. How does the mercy and beauty of the absolutely beauteous one, the absolutely compassionate one, the truly merciful one, permit this infinite ugliness and awesome calamity? Many people have asked about this question, and it occurs to many people. The answer. In addition to the minor evils, there are numerous universal good purposes in the existence of Satan, and human attainments and perfections. Yes, however many the degrees from a seed to the huge tree, the degrees in the abilities lodged in human nature are more numerous. They range from a minute particle to the sun. For these abilities and potentialities to develop, action is required. A transaction is necessary. In such a transaction, the action of the mechanism of progress is triggered through striving. And striving occurs due to the existence of evil spirits and harmful things. Otherwise, man's station would have been constant like that of the angels. There would have been no classes in humankind, which resembles thousands of species. It is contrary to wisdom and justice to abandon 1,000 instances of good so as to avoid one minor evil. For sure, the majority of people embrace misguidance due to Satan. But importance and value look mostly to quality. But importance and value look mostly to quality. They look to quantity little or not at all. If someone has 1,010 seeds which he buries, and under the earth the seeds undergo a chemical reaction as a result of which 10 become trees and 1,000 rot, the profit the man receives from the 10 seeds which have become trees certainly eliminates the loss he suffers from the 1,000 rotted ones. In exactly the same way, through the struggle against the soul and Satan, the profit, honor, enlightenment, and value for humankind gained by 10 perfect men who are like stars certainly reduced to nothing the harm caused to mankind through the people of misguidance embracing unbelief, who are so base as to be considered vermin. Since this is so, divine mercy, wisdom, and justice have permitted the existence of Satan and allowed him to molest men. O people of belief, your armor against this awesome enemy is the fear of God fashioned on the workbench of the Quran. And your shield is the noble messenger's practices, and your weapon, seeking refuge with God from Satan and seeking forgiveness and taking refuge in divine protection.
Jazakallah khairan. That was the question and answer. So, any opinions, any comments from the beginning? Yes.
I have a question. So in this, it says at one point, I'm forgetting where it is, but it says striving against Satan and the soul. And I wanted to know the distinction between the two, and where Satan leads us towards evil and where our own soul leads us towards it.
So I guess in this regard, last week we were partially talking about this, like Quran talks about this Satan. But Quran is talking about the creation itself, right? So when Quran talks about Satan, I need to check, what is this talking about? Like, does even a thing named Satan exist? So it is definitely identifying something that I'm experiencing. This is how we should be checking about it, right? Or same thing with the nafs, the self, or soul, as mentioned in here. So when we talk about this Satan, the way Quran is depicting it, like Satan is those baseless claims that I have, such as, if I graduate, life is going to be perfectly fine, right? So you have this baseless claim, and you know that it has no reality by experience now. So where did this baseless claim come from? So you said that, oh, this is what Satan is, as this is how Quran is depicting it. And you can bear witness to its existence because you're experiencing it, right? But when it comes to your nafs, so nafs is like the way Quran is depicting nafs, it's saying that there's this urge in you to, like, I don't know, sometimes you command, you want to be lazy, you don't want to move, or like you want to get more, collect everything. Like these type of internal tendencies that come, these are being depicted in Quran as nafs. And Khadir makes a comment. He says, for Satan, these are the whispers, waswasa, and for nafs, he says the personal desires. Yeah, so these are the two that we have. What do you think about the question? Does the question resonate with you? Shall we read it, the question? The creation of devils, the creation of Satans, who are pure evil, and they're harassing the people of belief. And many people not believing and going to hell because of them appears to be terrible and ugly. Life would be much better if there were no Satan, no? How does the mercy and beauty of the absolutely beauteous one, the absolutely compassionate one, the truly merciful one, how does such a merciful creator and beautiful creator permit this infinite ugliness and awesome calamity? Yes, we can take the microphone from Dua.
So I have a different question that I was just rereading. And so with again the example of the seed, it seems to be like the example seems to be of a man that has however many seeds, right? And it says that if 10, like if 1,000 spoil and 10 seeds attain something really good, then it's good for mankind. So how does it speak to me? Why should I care about mankind? That's almost as saying like I want mankind to flourish. Like it's really about my life. And I'm not talking about it from the selfish perspective, but from the perspective of like it's my connection to the creator. Why should I care about how many people like again, how why should I care about how many people in mankind attain or do not attain? Like who benefits from how mankind, what's the score of mankind, you know? And in that case, it's still, it's when framed that way, it still doesn't answer the question, because then you're still saying 10 attained it, but 1,000 died horribly. So still it's the same point of like, what's the point?
Yeah.
How can I apply this example to myself as an individual?
Very valid question. So let's reread the question, and first let's determine whether are we bothered by such a thing. Like Satan is coming and spoiling me or suggesting questions, me and others like me, and eventually causing me to possibly end up in hell. this is something bad. Like, we wouldn't be interested in going to hell. But what does the question entail? The author is shifting our attention from what the question is entailing. Because how did he answer this? Before coming to the metaphor there, what did he say about the role of Satan? Harassing, but for what reason? So the first part that comes with the answer, so however many degrees from a seed to the huge tree, the degrees in the abilities lodged in human nature are more numerous. Like, humans are all different. We agree with that. Like, they have different skills, different capacities to come out. They range from a minute particle to the sun. For these abilities and potentialities to develop, action is required, a transaction is necessary. In such a transaction, the action of the mechanism of progress is triggered through striving. Let's pick up on this word, striving. And I'm going to slightly change the example so that maybe we can relate to the example better. Imagine a better education system than we have in here in the US. Imagine an ideal education system there. Students come, and we are trying to educate them so that they learn how to do computers, how to do, I don't know, philosophy, science, health sciences, whatever. If we don't take them to the school, they are just going to be humans, but those potentialities will not come out. They will simply eat their food and die. Many of the potentialities will never become actual. But they come to school, but in school we have to just put these kids into some action, because even, I mean, by experience, you guys know, it's not enough to just listen to the lectures. Like, you cannot become successful simply by sitting in the lecture room, right? What do the professor do? Says, okay, here it teaches the lecture, and then says, here are the assignments, here are the exams, here are recitations, do this, do that. Many things are there. So this are now putting you into action. And this action is how you learn. Like, this is how human learns, as simple as that. Like, there's no other way for human to learn without going through this struggle. Okay. Assuming that we have a good education system. In America, we have this great inflation, everybody passes the courses. But imagine a proper education where if the student just shows up, makes the motion, but doesn't really try to learn, or goes and parties, 80% of the students fail, 90% of the students fail. But those who take the class properly really become successful and get out of this education system. And in fact, they flourish the society that we live in. Okay, those are the people who produce the stuff that the rest of the people are eventually going to even benefit from. So in such a setup, would we say that no, universities and assignments should not exist because many of the students are failing? This is the type of the question here. Like, when I say Satan should not exist because I go to hell, sounds like university should not exist because majority of the students fail the college education anyways. What do you think? In this case, in such a setup, for example, would you be advocating for closing the universities and/or, because university is like the system itself, right? Universities should stay, but the assignment shouldn't be there. That's not an option. Like, this is how human learns. There needs to be this challenging aspect in there. In human case, Satan is being the challenger that makes you go through the questioning back and forth. So pretty much saying that Satan shouldn't be there is saying that let's close the university because many people are failing in the education. That simply means let's leave everybody in the state of animal, in our example. By animal, I am referring to the animal as someone who doesn't learn. Of course, this was maybe not the best example, but animal, because human distinguishes himself or herself from animal by learning. So if you remove learning, then human becomes animal. What do you think about this example? Let's not get lost in the. I 100% agree with what you picked up on the example. But how about this one? Does the same problem appear here? What would you say?
I guess there's like a lot of things that were not like super clear with the example, because I think that I may be mistaken, but there is a message for us in creation. So as we were talking the other day about the tree and the humans being the fruit, it seems that like the creation was made for us to learn, right? It was made for us. So in a class, maybe the topic is to it might be to teach the class or the concept for those who want to hear. But in this case, it is like the creation was made for the humans. So and here's where I think that I may be getting a little stuck on. Like, obviously, it's not like, let's say that 90% or maybe now 90% are failing. Maybe inshallah at some point it's going to be higher. But it still sounds very wrong to say like, yeah, we made this classroom for the people, but I know that 90 are going to fail. Like, it makes total sense. Like, it makes total sense to have Satan in this case. Like, I know there's this other example of like, it's hard. I don't know. It's hard for me to eat zabiha halal. Like, and someone from, I don't know, Pakistan says like, oh, it wasn't hard for me at all. But there's no non-zabiha halal in Pakistan, right? So there's a difference. Like, to put it very basic, I get a higher score for having a temptation and choosing not to, right? Like, I did learn from that temptation. I did learn from that Satan. Whereas someone that lives in a place where there's only zabiha doesn't have the temptation. It's not the same score, right? But it's still like paired with the next thing, right? It still seems like it still kind of stands. Like, if it's made for humans, for us to learn, how come it's like how come it's okay if a lot of people don't learn? And again, this is the same thing. Like, so like Allah knows that they're gonna fall and they're gonna burn. So again, why is that the system then?
Yeah, let's try to look at it from again our perspective, right? Rather than couldn't God have designed a better system? Like, that's not the question, because like we're not trying to give opinion to God how to engineer the existence, but we are trying to understand from our end, like, God is all merciful. Yes, I do see this based on how he's creating. Yet I do see that this merciful creator created this Satan who is there trying to trick me so that eventually many of us end up in the hell. There is mercy in here. This is the part that we are trying to see. Now apply it to our example. You see a professor and you see that he's so kind, so nice, so like a proper human being. But then when it comes to the classes and exams, he's just asking so tricky questions. Or he has some TAs, or you learn that he is even recruiting some TAs just to give sometimes wrong answers to students, as if it is the right answer. So the TA comes and says, you think that 2 + 2 is 4? 5. And then you say, well, this guy, well, what the professor said 4, is it 5? Now you're saying that at this point, and you see that many of your friends are falling for this TA, and you're saying, why does the teacher also recruit these apparently bad TAs? All they do is lying. And how is this helping with the teaching? Like, this is the type of question that we are at. Okay. Sister Zareen had a comment there.
I guess I was thinking about Natalia's comment with like the university classroom example being for the like students. I think maybe an added component there might be that there's still a responsibility on the students to come to the class sincerely wanting to learn. And I think the failing part is maybe when like that understanding of like the purpose of the class and like doing the assignments and whatnot, like that understanding isn't there, and not taking the class seriously perhaps would lead to that failure. And I guess not taking like the lying TAs, for example, or even like the false options on a multiple choice exam, like those are also there to help like the sincere students to learn how to distinguish between things that might seem very similar, but there's one detail that's off about this answer choice compared to the right answer choice. And I guess like thinking about the experiences that were mentioned about maybe in this context, it's hard for me to eat zabiha halal, and then the friend in the other context, it's like easier. I was thinking that like, I feel like we all have our different contexts, and that the lesson, like the classroom example, feels a bit limited in the sense that everyone in there is taking the same class and the same lessons to an extent, I suppose. But for our lives, I feel like those lessons are going to be different. So the person who might have grown up in that environment that where Zabiha Halal is easily accessible might be struggling with something else that might come easier to you. So like, I'm just saying I feel like the contexts are tailored to like ourselves by the one who knows us and knows what lessons we would most benefit from as well.
So what do you think, folks? Jazakallah khair. This was a very important point. And actually, thank you for also highlighting that to extending the example as even a multiple choice question is having 4 evil and 1 truth in it, because for a question with 5 choices, only one of the answers is correct. So the teacher is by default trying to trick you. You can take it as there are 4 lies, 1 truth in that question, but that is for you to distinguish what's right and what's wrong. The question is lie wrong? Yes, it is. Then why does the teacher tell, in essence, 4 lies and 1 truth, if we take it as a multiple choice question, right? The purpose is for my training. The moment I start realizing this, then everything will start to fit into the picture. Like, why am I here on this world? If I'm feeling like I am here in this world to be comfortable, and what is being comfortable? I guess, according to American standards, living the American dream. Anything that is disturbing this is going to become, it's going to become unpleasant. But what is the purpose of my existence? Why am I here? What defines my purpose? And does the creation of Satan fulfill this purpose? There are students who take courses when I was undergrad, I felt the same as well. There are certain classes that I say, like, you just roll your eyes. Why did they even put this into the curriculum? It's a nonsense course. Because you feel like all I need to learn in a computer science department is just get to learn how to do programming. Nowadays, learn machine learning. The rest of the courses are just nonsense. So what is the perspective? Where does the perspective fit? So in this question, author is rectifying our perspective. He is rectifying perspective in a sense that Satan is mostly a good guy, in a sense, not in and of itself, but in terms of its outcomes. The one who created Satan, the one who employs Satan, is employing Satan for a good reason. If you use Satan for the wrong person, you make it a problem for yourself. Like, he gives the example of fire. We can also read this other text. But he gives the example of a fire. What happens if you put your hand into the fire? It burns. So is fire evil? If you put your hand into it, it becomes evil to you. But fire is made to cook your food, to melt the iron so that all the technology that is developed could be developed, right? So fire is created for so many good reasons. But if you abuse it, or if you use it in a way, then it's going to be harmful to you. If everybody goes and puts their hand into the fire, is fire evil? No, still. From the creation point of view, fire is still not evil. But those people made the fire evil to themselves. This is the point. Creation of Satan is not evil. Choosing to be tricked by Satan is evil, and this is your choice. This is, I think, in summary, what I am reading from here. What do you think? Yes.
There's a lot to say about this, but the first thing that came to mind is the yin and the yang. Like, you cannot live life and know how truly beautiful life is unless you experience some hardships. Like, they complete each other. And that's the sense, like, you cannot have good faith with God and good relationship with him unless you are tested and you have some turbulence. And that comes through the form of Satan. And you need to learn from these mistakes and grow to get closer to God. And this is, like, I think the best feeling to ever experience is to have a genuinely good, close, authentic relationship with your creator. And that doesn't come when you just practice and be a good Muslim. That comes after you overcome challenges that include Satan and temptation and sin. And then you become a better person in spite of it. It's like Satan is a means to the end, which is heaven, which is a good connection with God and all of that. And another thing that I remembered is that God says in the Quran, do not hate something and then it turns out that it's good for you, or do not love something and then it's bad for you. And I think this can also be viewed the same, where of course, Satan is evil and he has a bad influence on us. But in the bigger picture, if after we commit sin or after we do bad things that we don't want to do, and then we become better persons or individuals because of it, then this is where it can be a good thing. Like, as humans, we have this agency to create our future. We have a choice. So after you gain some awareness, up to an extent, after you gain awareness of it and after you learn and grow and all of that, then you make that choice for yourself. I think in that sense is what I understood Satan, how it can, in the bigger picture, it can be seen as good for us. But as you said, it's also up to the individual. So if they choose to utilize Satan and sin because of it and like spread harm, then of course it's up to the individual as well.
Yep. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
came a little late, so I don't know if this was discussed. I just had a clarifying question. In the text, when he gives the example of if someone has 1,010 seeds which he buries, and under the earth the seeds undergo a chemical reaction, as a result of which 10 become trees and 1,000 rot. The profit the man receives from the 10 seeds which have become trees certainly eliminates the loss he suffers from the 1,000 rotted ones. Are the seeds supposed to represent human qualities, or like what? I'm trying to understand the point he's trying to make through the example, just to clarify it in my head.
I guess the way I read it was that these are humans, but if you would like to read it the other way
So
around, it
if
would be
they are
interesting.
humans, then who is the one profiting?
The one who sows it there.
Like it becomes strange then in terms of, is God profiting? What is
I
something-
see.
So that's why I was
That's a good
wondering,
point. Okay.
how should we understand this example?
Okay. Yeah. Would you like to continue reading it as if you are the one who puts it under the soil? Like, those 1,000 is your qualities.
I mean, so I'm thinking out loud here. If we read it like that, I guess it's that certain, I mean, I don't know if it works. Certain qualities through the teaching or the existence of Satan have, are given the opportunity to become polished, cultivated, right? So I might have a certain quality. What's one example? Like name a quality, make it practical. Huh? No, just any, like, I guess, I could have the faculty of
I guess you can play arts or just be dumb in arts as I am. Like somebody might be just flourishing their artistic aspect.
Sure. So I guess if someone is talented in art, they're, I mean, I don't know how exactly to make the example work, but sowing the seed of that, there's an opportunity inherent in that ability to notice art, make good art, to better understand your existence, better understand the meaning behind the existence of other things, right? And hence further your connection with your creator. But this is also made possible by the existence of Satan. How? I suppose. Like, you have to ask the question, does this art belong to me? This ability to look at things and, recognize lighting and aesthetics, does that belong to me? Which is the satanic perspective, right? It's a choice, it's an option that doesn't have any grounding in existence, because you realize, oh, like one day I'm good at aesthetics, the next day perhaps I'm not. Or as you grow older, your eyesight might falter. You might recognize that quality does not truly belong to you. So as with any quality, there's always an option to either read it in a way in which it becomes meaningful and takes you to your creator, or read it in a way in which you choose one of the multiple choice question, options where there's no representation of it in reality, which is a satanic. But so that's one way, I guess, we could read the example.
Yeah.
Hence, like, the abilities or qualities that we then develop or are given the opportunity to develop are like the trees. I'm not sure if that's what the author is meaning.
No, I mean, okay, I see. I mean, I guess that makes the example acceptable from the lens that Natalia was questioning, because it feels like if I am the rotten seed entirely, then somebody else flourishing doesn't help me. It might be helping somebody else out there, but it's not helping me. So in the expense of me, somebody is flourishing. Why? I guess this is the part that's being questioned in Natalia's words. And I think in this regard, it makes sense. If we take this example as this, the example is being problematic. This is why I was trying to take it to the college example, because everybody is for success in there and you choose to fail. But if I am lazy and I would like others not to succeed because of my laziness, this is not being acceptable. But yeah, if we take the example as you suggested, then it makes also sense, right? Because I have 1,000 qualities, and some aspects of me are going to burn in hell. This is not a common thing that we understand, by the way. Our perception in general is either you go to paradise or you go to hell. But you can also take it as you have 1,000 different aspects. You are a merciful person. You are an inquisitive person. You are an soft-hearted person. And let's say you're an art-loving person. Let's just take those four. You being this merciful person might go into hell or might go to the heaven. How does this work? If you don't see mercy in things in life, then, and Satan can come and say that, see, if there was a merciful God, then children wouldn't be torn into pieces in Gaza. And then you will start feeling so bad that you will start experiencing hell in here. You are an inquisitive person. That questioning might become a source of a paradise for you or might become a source of a hell for you. You're an art-loving person. Then you see the beautiful works of art, such as butterflies, let's say, and then you see that within a day they die. Or in the streets of Philadelphia, you see this, what is this red lanternflies, so beautifully made, but people keep crashing them. So then your heart is going to be torn apart. So in these regards, yeah, you can apply it to the individuals as well. Any comments, any questions? No. Yes. If we can take the microphone here. Yes.
I'm very new to these discussions, but I just want to make a little comment. I don't know if I understood it right or if my understanding is very shallow. I was just thinking it in a very from personal point of view. I think when it says 1,010 seeds, I took the example very personally. To me, it was a bit for example, I have 1,010 temptations, and oftentimes it's hard. For example, to eat halal and not halal. Oftentimes it is hard for me to I see my friends, let's say, eating a super delicious something, and in front of them I'm just sitting with my vegetables. So it is hard for me to not eat it at that time. So I'm kind of suppressing my temptations. At the same time, to wake up for Fajr in the morning, I mean, I do want to sleep a little bit longer. It's hard for me to wake up. But then even though I overcome these temptations, in the end I realized it was good for me. For example, eating pork, it's scientifically bad for you. It is not good because the pork skin, it doesn't respirate, so it doesn't get rid of the toxins. So even though for the time being it feels bad to say no, but actually in the end it's good for my own health. It's good for my overall well-being. At the same time, for example, waking up for Fajr, every day I wake up for Fajr, it just my whole day is so blissful. So for the time being, even though it seems hard, but actually the overall benefit for me is huge. That's how I kind of saw the example, I think. I'm not sure if it's a...
Okay. So inshallah, we will continue from this example after Maghrib, because this is something that I think we can work on. There were a few points that was made right before the prayer. So let's make some, I think it might make help to then go over some examples. So I'll go with what Natalia suggested as an example at the beginning. So eating zabiha or not. Okay. So the food is delicious. You choose to eat or not to eat it and whatnot. So there is Satan here. Let's start from there. Satan comes and tells you that eats just non-zabiha or even eat pork. Okay, so this is, let's say, Satan comes and suggests this. Where is Satan here? Why is it satanic? Why do you say that it's satanic? I think let's try to get to know Satan a little better, because I feel like the answers might be going to our default understanding too quickly. Because what's wrong with eating pork? What do you think? That's a question. Okay, where's the microphone? The other microphone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think this made me think of how humans always like find it hard to take accountability when they make mistakes. So the easier like solution for them is to blame Satan, even though like in our hearts we know like we did something wrong, and instead of like going back to Allah and like worship and even like go back to the right path, we just like keep blaming Satan, and then saying, oh, maybe Allah will like make us better. Maybe may Allah forgive us, but then we do nothing about it. So I think that's the whole problem, is that we don't take accountability as humans.
I think that's part of it. That's part of it. But what's wrong with eating pork? Like, why is it even wrong that we even need to blame someone? Is it wrong? Like, for example, the example that Sister Maryam gave. So I'm going to use the name that I know. So, like, health issues, right? I guess I can find the unhealthy cow, which is slaughtered in a halal way, and eat it and end up having some health issues. In this case, will I say there's no Satan in here, but still I got harm? I don't think we should be looking at it from this health benefits point of view. Like, what is wrong with eating pork? Or even, because we know that with the same token, we're not supposed to eat a cow which is slaughtered in the name of Abdurrahman. Like, it's cow. It's not about its skin or anything, right? So still, it's going to be wrong. Again, in this case, I would say, let's say there's my temptation in me to eat, like there's a super nicely cooked biryani of a goat that is slaughtered in the name of Abdurrahman. It's a goat, it's a halal animal, technically speaking, but that biryani is haram. And there came this suggestion saying that, oh, Yusuf, this is the best of the best biryani that you can eat on the earth. What is satanic about this? Where is Satan here?
Satan is everywhere. Satan is everywhere in the simplest things. Even if something that we don't initially want, it's social conditioning too. When you see others do it and it looks appealing from your mind, you're just gonna want to do it. This is how we are. We're very simplistic.
But
anything could attract
okay,
us.
let's just try to make it concrete. Where is it in this biryani? Where is Satan? Which part of biryani is Satan? Or, I mean, in this endeavor, it's just, I am going to eat biryani. Okay, it's slaughtered in the name of Abdurrahman, whatever. I mean, not in the name of Allah. And apparently somebody mentioned that, was it in Pakistan? A famous singer was just abandoning religion because, yeah. So you shouldn't be, like, you shouldn't take to pray over a meat to eat the meat. Apparently somebody just abandoned religion. Natalia was mentioning last week in Pakistan. Like, where is Satan in slaughtering an animal in the name of someone other than God? And yeah, so where is Satan? Yes.
I was thinking of maybe the whisper to make us think that we own things or that we have control over the world. Like, it's like the opposite of needy and needing the guidance of how to interact with creation. Like, we go to somewhere for that guidance and for those rules. And
Just to open up a little bit, it's my goat. Like I bought the goat. I didn't steal it from someone. Like what I'm trying to make it clear what do you mean by it's not mine. It's my goat. I didn't steal it from anyone. And I got the animal with the most, like I do all halal jobs, no shady stuff. I'm just doing the proper job. I earn my money nice. I bought the goat. I even slaughtered it in the proper way, but when slaughtering, I just said, in the name of Abdurrahman, I slaughtered the animal. I didn't say in the name of God. Technically, this is, no, you can continue. Technically, this is a haram thing, and you're not supposed to eat it. It's not pork anymore, so health-wise, it should be fine. Okay. But then, but it's cooked so nice. And now Satan or something comes and says, oh, eat this. But I'm not going to eat it because it's satanic. What is satanic here?
The fact that you still it might be your goat, but you're not really like how is the goat yours, or how do you know how it's gonna nourish you, or you don't know like anything about the goat. I'm not doing a good job at explaining it. I hope you explain it better, but through there.
Okay, let's keep digging. Okay.
I don't know if I really have anything helpful to add because I was thinking along the same lines of Natalia. So maybe it isn't like so you're saying like the proper, I guess, actions were performed like according to how we believe we should be like slaughtering like the animal. But the name instead of God, and like an example, Abdurrahman was used. So but like I guess in this example, like it doesn't make sense to use a different name. I guess maybe I'm thinking too literally, like like what relevance does
I guess in
Abdurrahman
this
have to
case,
the
what we
goat?
generally tend to do is like, yeah, maybe nobody's slaughtering it in the name of Abdurrahman. So let's make the example a little more realistic. So according to the creator of the goat, he says you're going to slaughter the animal by cutting the throat. Okay. But then science comes and says, no, this is very inhumane. Okay. So what we will do, you're going to shoot the animal from the forehead with a bullet. Okay. But now the nature of the thing is changing. In one, the creator of the goat said that this is how you're going to do it. And now somebody else is coming and saying that, no, we cannot do it like this. I know how to do it. Not the owner and creator of the goat, but I know how to do it. How am I going to do it? Shoot the animal from the forehead. Okay. And now I know that the animal was shot in the head. So it's not properly slaughtered. Let's put it this way. Okay. What's Satan here? In here, animal is dead. I'm going to eat meat at the end of the day. But let's to make the example clear. I know that this animal was slaughtered in a way that its creator didn't allow it to. This is why it is haram. This is what haram means, right? It's not it being that type of a mammal or this type of a mammal. The owner of the animal said you cannot touch this. The owner of the animal for the other one said you can touch this. So now I am touching an animal, or I am being suggested to touch an animal which the owner of the animal, the creator of the animal said, no, you cannot eat this. Okay? What is satanic about this?
So it's not following what the owner intended for.
And yes, and when Satan comes, Satan says what? Says, oh, you know why your God said don't, you know why God said cut the throat like this and not shoot the forehead? gives an exam, gives an explanation to you, and then say, I see. Then yeah, of course, then I can also eat the one that is shot from the head as well. Oh, mashallah. So what I'm trying to say with this is, it's going to be backtracking a little bit, but when Quran gives the example of how Satan tricks human, how Satan tricks Adam, Creator says, don't eat from this tree, right? It's just a tree. God doesn't even give the type of the tree in the story. He says, just don't eat from this tree, some tree. Satan comes and says, and God doesn't even give a reason. He just says, don't eat from this tree. No explanation. He doesn't say that, oh, it has bacteria in it, that's why you shouldn't eat it. Just says, don't eat. That's all it is. Satan comes and says, you know why your God didn't tell you to eat from this? Oh, because if you eat from the tree, you will become eternal. Satan comes and tells me that, oh yeah, I know this goat is not halal, zabiha, whatever. This is just a name to say that it's the owner doesn't let you eat. That's all it is. But it's so delicious. And you know what? Probably it's just a matter of cleanliness. This is why God said it. But you know, we are living in America, and porks in America are even cleaner than cows in Pakistan. Because cows in Pakistan are, all messy environment. Porks in America they wash it every day. So they are cleaner. So this is what Quran was meaning actually. So you can go and eat it because it's going to taste so good. The Satan's aspect in here is Satan is telling you a lie which doesn't have any basis. What is the lie here? Actually, the lie here is that it was not prohibited for this reason, that reason, for health reasons. The fact is that it was a environment in which you will practice that you are not the owner. Like in this house, if I were to tell you that don't sit on these green couches, please. It's the most comfortable couch in the room, by the way. But let's say I say, don't sit on the green couches. You come, sit there, and then Abdurrahman comes and says, you know why he didn't ask you to sit on the couches? Because he thought your pants are dirty. And then you say, oh, my pants are not dirty, so I can comfortably go and sit there. What he said doesn't have any truth. This is satanic. The reason I told you not to sit there is to teach you something, because maybe the moment you came into the house, I see that you're too comfortable. And you started, just as an example, behaving like, oh, this house is good. Maybe I can sleep here tonight. Come on, you're just a guest. If I let you sleep here, you can sleep here, okay? So once I start seeing this pattern in you, I want to draw a boundary so that you know you're just a guest here. What do I say? Don't sit there. So that you realize that you are not the owner here. You're just a guest here. And you're going to act by the landlord's guidance in here. So in this life, we live as if we are the boss. And Satan comes, or what we call as satanic. Now, again, let's not make it too much into a mythology. In this life, you have many such baseless lies, saying that if you get this, you are going to attain satisfaction. Satan said, right? If you eat from the tree, you will become eternal. Did you feel like if you were to get into, where do you study now? Penn, right? If you get admission into Penn, you're going to become like one level up than the rest of the people. So, generally speaking, not for you, but by getting admission, you feel like, okay, I'm climbing the ladders. I'm getting somewhere. You feel, human starts feeling secure in getting into a good PhD program, right? What is satanic here? Penn adds me value. What do you think, Dua? Is this satanic? Does pen add you a add people a value, or Drexel adds value? Yeah, you had some comment before, so. Okay. Okay, there was okay, there was a long comment online. Oops, sorry.
Can I make a comment before the long?
Yes, please.
I mean, again, I don't know if this was already talked about, but I guess through the existence of Satan in my life, I'm able to say the La ilaha part, right? Like the satanic whispering is there is no God, but through the satanic whispering of that, I'm able to say La ilaha. Oh, my university degree is not what grants me value. My marriage is not what will give me the final happiness that I'm speaking. My, attaining this milestone in my career isn't what I thought was going to grant me, this end result of joy that I thought. And it's not that these things aren't things that we shouldn't strive for, right? But that it allows me to say, this is not the source by La ilaha, or there is no God. I mean, this is not the source of value, of happiness, of, security, whatever you want to insert there, that I assumed that it was, right? So without the La ilaha, without saying there is no, right? Without that negation, I can't come to the illallah part, or I can't come to the part where I say, oh, nothing of this world can grant me that value, that security, that, stability that I seek, except a one that is not of the nature of this world, of this existence, right? So it's through, as Brother Yusuf was saying earlier as well, it's through the wrong choice, the presence of the wrong choice, that I'm able to then determine what must be what I truly seek in my life. Because I mean, ultimately, that is what we seek. We seek either security, value, happiness, and we want it in a continued way. We want to feel secure in our existence. We want to feel secure that this happiness that maybe we feel in the moment or through a certain achievement lasts, right? But then it becomes fleeting. And I realize, I thought my mother was the source of compassion in my life. Well, may God grant her many years, but now she's passed away. And I recognize that she must not be the source of compassion, because I'm in need of a source that is undying, right? So again, I guess through these various needs of ours, the satanic presence, right, becomes critical in allowing us to determine what we truly are in need of, because things of this world are not able to meet that need.
Jazakallah khairan. So is the part getting any clear? Because what is being discussed might be quite different than the example that Sister Maryam you gave. Is it making any sense or not much? Anything you would like to add?
In our soul, we kind of have, I think in our soul, we have to have the belief that, okay, there is no like worldly things that can kind of like bring this, like the belief that, okay, it's actually only God who can like bring this source of, let's say, peace. Or I think what you're saying kind of like really clears it and makes sense that, okay, we have to have this full belief that, okay, there is actually nothing else but God. And I don't know how to explain this.
Yeah.
But...
And not only we have to, but do we? Because when we say we have to, it feels like somebody is pointing gun at my head, and otherwise I'm going to pull the trigger. But is it? Because this is how Satan is coming, right? That's what Satan said. If you graduate, you're going to, like, all your problems will evaporate. Once you get married, this miserable student life goes away, and you're going to get into eternal bliss. Like, these are all satanic things, whispers out there. Or once you see an ad, if you buy this car, you are going to be always driving the car with this joy, right? These are all satanic whispers. So
Detangling this kind of like attachment, worldly attachment.
not only that, I mean, in fact, it is, but why worldly attachment is bad? Because it sucks, like practically speaking. Anything that you enjoy, the best clothes that you have, how long does it satisfy you? Either you get old, or it's not fashion anymore, or the cloth gets torn apart or something. So it doesn't give you the satisfaction you're looking for. Like, this is how the world is set up. But when you were buying it for the first time, you thought it would, like, you and the cloth will be together forever. There's no such thing, right? So the initial premise was a lie. But that lie is useful so that when the cloth gets old, when you have the first fight with your husband or wife, then you start realizing that satisfaction does not lie in any of these things. Yet I am in need of satisfaction. So then you realize that it was a lie. Then you said, I mean, this is how Quran is depicting. Satan is a liar. Wherever you see a lie, it is satanic. So, once I get admission to this major, or once I graduate and become a professor, I'm going to be satisfied. These are all lies. These are satanic. Then what's the truth? The moment you realize that it fails you, yet you're in need of dissatisfaction. Where do you turn to? Where does the satisfaction will come from? Or where does it come from? So as Sister Aishanur was highlighting, and then you say that, satisfaction does not come from degree. Satisfaction does not come from marital status. Satisfaction doesn't come from what I eat. Satisfaction does not come from whether I eat zabiha or not. Satisfaction comes from the fact that whatever I take, yes, Sister Zareen, conclude the sentence.
I'm sorry, I don't think I can finish
Go ahead. Go
the
ahead.
sentence. I just wanted to maybe bring it back to seeking refuge in God from Satan. So it seems like one of the techniques of Satan is to appeal to my faculty of reason. So providing something like an explanation, like you were saying, like science says this is actually bad for you, even though I am commanded to do it. And so the response of that, like to seek refuge from that, is not to be like, okay, I'm just not going to use my reason anymore, and I'm just going to say, I just have to believe in God, and maybe say like the phrase, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim," I seek refuge in God from Satan the accursed. So but that doesn't feel sufficient either, because I am told, like also in the Quran, to like ponder and reflect and think. So I just wanted to clarify that, like, it seems like Satan is attacking like through my reason, but the response is not to not use my reason.
Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, I was going to say, bringing it back to the topic, I feel that these lies also create opportunities for us to confirm the truth for ourselves, because, like, so for example, let's say a thought comes to you that, like, I just want to try pork, like it just once, maybe it'll taste really good, whatever. And then you sort of, I guess if you go through the process of, holding yourself accountable, then you can ask yourself questions like, why am I doing this thing in the first place? And then it sort of creates an opportunity for you to reflect and then confirm the source of why you're supposed to follow what you're following. And the term that Imam Nursi uses is striving, and it really is reminding me of jihad, because in jihad, it's like if you see some sort of injustice happening in front of you, that is an opportunity for you to sort of connect with God and act on what you believe in. And then we've talked about how your amal strengthens your iman, and how your iman strengthens your amal. So even if you feel uncomfortable, you say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna say something, this is wrong, and you strive to confirm what you believe in or act on what you believe in, and that creates an opportunity for you to get closer to Allah. But Zareen's comment made me think there is also another opportunity for you to take this back to God, because you realize also when you're fighting those temptations, sometimes maybe they're starting to overpower you, and you recognize your own weakness, and you recognize that He is the strong one, and He made me weak in a sense that He made me with temptations, and then He is the one who can provide guidance and provide protection. So in that way, just strengthens your belief as well.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah, and yeah, in the original text, he uses for strife, he uses the word jihad, really. So that is a description of jihad in this regard. Now you are striving for, a student in the throughout the term is really making a jihad, striving for learning. And there are going to be many incorrect answers, some correct answers, but by correcting himself, herself, the student is going to learn. This is how the education is happening for human being. So in our case, in this life, the purpose is humans' education. And Satan in this regard is being an educational tool. And by those suggestions, we are really starting to understand what is right, what is wrong. And yes, time to time, we fall for those lies. But then once you realize that it was a mistake, what do? You seek refuge and seek for forgiveness. This is, in the last paragraph, this is how he is concluding. Because in a sense, Quran is explaining you what you are, who you are as a human being. He says, oh human, I know you because I made you. You are vulnerable to these shiny words of Satan, which in fact are lie, but intentionally I put them there so that you learn through this experience. Why did you make it as such, God? That's not the question. The question is, my creator is saying that I made you as such. I have other creations, the creator is saying, right? He has animals, which doesn't have any such problems. The creator mentions angels also, which we can discuss later on. Angels are not bothered by Satan as well. But he says, I intentionally make you get bothered by Satan. Now, our question in here is, we are not saying, why did you make it as such? We are asking the question, why, in the sense of trying to understand what is the wisdom behind this. And the wisdom is, it is with this questioning, this tricky questions, this is how we are learning. But he stated the fact, majority of the people burn because of those, fall for those lies. So how can we be saved from them? Which is the topic of our entire text, right? Seeking refuge in God from Satan. How is that? So I'm reading the last paragraph. All people of belief, your armor against this awesome enemy is the fear or consciousness of God, fashioned on the workbench of the Quran. So we are going to wear a shield that is produced in the workbench of Quran. That's a very interesting terminology there. And your shield is the noble messenger's practices. And your weapon is seeking refuge with God from Satan and seeking forgiveness and taking refuge in divine protection. How is this last paragraph helping? What do you think? Practically, what does it mean to seek refuge in God, Sister Aishanur? And how is seeking forgiveness help?
So I think there's one version of this where I can go and say, okay, so I have to say astaghfirullah, I have to say a'udhu billah constantly in my life, and hopefully, you know, that'll make me a good Muslim, protect me against Satan. And that's not wrong, right? But at the same time, it won't inject into the veins of my daily life. Because in my daily life, I know I want to be happy. I want, in fact, peace. Sometimes quiet peace. But I want to be happy, right? And I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel secure. And by secure, it's oftentimes disguised in terms of like we want to feel like we have control, or like things are controlled at least, even if not by us, by A1. And so what I understand from this is that if that is my goal, right? If I ask myself as a human being, what am I in need of? Oh, I'm in need of these things. Then the text is saying you're on a highway, right? And the Quranic guidance will be like a GPS that prevents me from taking the wrong exits. Because there's going to be constant exits saying, oh, maybe this way, those satanic options, alternatives, right? And the Quranic guidance keeps me on that path to what I truly want, in fact, right? So when I apply to a school, when I apply to a job, what I'm applying to there is some version of contentment and happiness in my life, right? Because I think that X, Y, and Z will bring me this contentment that I seek. So one, I see it as, okay, you know, I have these needs. How do I fulfill these needs? How can these needs be fulfilled? First, I have to ask myself, do I have this question in my life or concern in my life, so that it doesn't become a sort of a top-down approach of just protect yourself from Satan, but rather, okay, I have these needs. The one who's given me these needs, what has he offered me such that I can seek that, attain that happiness, that joy, that peace, that security that I want, without those unnecessary or false detours, right? False exits. And so the Quranic guidance is offered as one, and two, as the practices of the Prophet, the Sunnah, right? Because I need practical guidance that matches my human reality in my day-to-day life. So I see this seeking refuge with God from Satan as I want to be protected from making the wrong turn, from disappointment, right? From despair and misery in my life. And if that's the case, then seeking refuge means asking and being in a state of asking my Creator for guidance on how to do that. I think that's what taking refuge is, being in a state of asking and seeking, and recognizing. I mean, it says on the workbench of the Quran, the fear of God, or taqwa. So being conscious of these needs and being conscious of the fact of who can really fulfill them in the best of ways. So that's what I understand.
And that verse, the term that he is representing a shield, no, an armor, and suggests armor as taqwa. That's coming from actually right after the story of Adam alayhi salam in Quran. So this is from Surah Araf. Quran is using the term as libasu taqwa dhalika khayr, because how it was happening in the story of Adam alayhi salam. After they eat from the tree, they were realizing their nakedness, and they were trying to patch their nakedness with the leaves of the garden. The follow-up verse is saying that, but the better of clothing is clothing of taqwa. Because Satan attacked them, like pretty much what the author is saying in between these lines are, that story is your story. Satan will keep attacking you, but how can you be protected of Satan? Where did Adam fall? The Creator slipped away from his mind, or Creator slips away from my mind. I become not conscious of the Creator, but conscious of my ambitions. I want eternity, and if eternity is given to me by a tree, I will get it from a tree. But I should ask the question, does eternity come from a tree? Does satisfaction come from a job? Like, what satisfies my heart? If I feel like job can satisfy my heart, house can satisfy my heart, marriage, family life, whatever can satisfy my heart, that is losing taqwa. Taqwa, what does taqwa mean? Being God conscious. I start losing my consciousness of my Creator and becoming vulnerable to Satan's whispers. Because if I forget the true answer, any answer then becomes an option for me. So becoming God conscious, taqwa is the way for protection from Satan's suggestions. That's why taqwa is being mentioned in here. And then he says, how do you produce taqwa? How do you produce God consciousness? Are you going to produce it with philosophy? No. Quran is going to produce this clothing of taqwa for you. And your shield is going to be messenger's practices, because this person really lived with Quran. He exemplified in his life how to wear this shield of taqwa before any event in life. He lived through successes, he lived through failures, he was successful. Like he buried all but one of his children when he was alive, but he had many children as well. He had a happy family life. He had fights in his family life as well. He went through everything pretty much. So how did he practice this shield? Take an example from there. And let's conclude with the last part. Seeking refuge with God from Satan and seeking forgiveness. Seeking forgiveness is part of protecting yourself from Satan. As an example, I was watching some debate. The guy made a statement, one of the debaters, but it was a faulty statement. The other debater caught to point and then started pressing from there. Since it's a debate, what's happening? You never step back, right? You realize that it was a mistake, but now you're just trying to save the day somehow. So you don't want to backpedal. This is a bigger mistake. In this life, I make a mistake. Satan makes a suggestion. I realize that it's a mistake. If I admit that it was a mistake, it becomes a learning opportunity. Then I can learn something from it before my Creator. I will say that, oh, my Creator, I messed up. That was wrong. Apple, that tree doesn't give me eternity. I thought that job was going to give me satisfaction. I was wrong. It's only with you my heart finds any ease. Nothing else in this life really satisfied me so far. I admit this and I come back to you. Then it becomes a proper learning experience and it erases the sin. Because the sin is insisting that, no, there was nothing wrong. I just chose the wrong job. This is why I'm not satisfied. If I chose the right one, I wouldn't feel bad. Or I'm having an unhappy family life because I chose the wrong guy. I'm pretty sure there's the right person somewhere out there. This is insisting on my mistake. But seeking forgiveness would have been erasing the problem. Because then I would say, oh, my creator, no matter which person, only you satisfy. No human satisfies my heart. Yes.
Just on this forgiveness point, just like what you said specifically, like it erases all the sins. And going back to the example Imam Nursi gave about if 10 seeds grow into a tree and the rest all rot, it's still worth it. And I was thinking how another way maybe we can understand this is like your day-to-day life or all your experiences throughout your life. There, and many of your experiences are rotten. Let's say like they just pass by mundane. You're not God conscious, but some of them you try to be God conscious, or let's say you try to have that taqwa, or I don't know, there's something, a tree grows in some of those experiences, at least you try. And just like how asking for forgiveness can somehow clean up all those sins or those rotten experiences. In the same way, I guess, like, we might live a lot of our lives. I mean, Satan comes to us and might say, like, you live your life so useless, there's nothing, why are you even bothering to pray? Or, what's the point of even eating halal or all these different things? So many other things in your life are just like, you're just not even paying attention. This is kind of a satanic whispering. But the other way to look at it, and I think how Nursi's taking this is, no, it's just the opposite. Like, yeah, you might make a lot of mistakes and there might be a lot of moments that you're not God conscious, but the moments that you are God conscious makes up for all of that. And just like, as you said, like asking for forgiveness can turn all those sins into hasana for you, or good deeds for you.
Jazakallah khairan. And of course, we used a lot of loaded terminology in this discussion. And since they are loaded terminologies, it needs to be redefined. But inshallah, in the upcoming discussions, we will keep referring back to them. I guess we cannot cover everything in a single discussion. So let's conclude here, inshallah. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha.